Hey, I'm Callie. Thanks so much for watching Graceland Online. Graceland Church exists to see lives transformed in the neighborhoods, the generations, and the nations through Jesus Christ. The teaching that you're about to hear is based on the Bible, and we believe that it's going to be inspiring and relevant to your life. And if you're here because you're searching for answers to tough questions and looking for help on how to navigate life, we would love for you to text us with any questions or if you just need someone to talk to. And again, thanks for watching Graceland Online. We're praying for you, and we hope that this video will be an encouragement to you on your spiritual journey.
Do you have kids? If you do, then I'm sure that you can relate to what I'm about to tell you. Now, if you don't have kids, then I just want you to take a moment, think back to when you were a kid. I have a son, he's 5 years old, and he is just a hot mess. Now, he's a really sweet boy. He's super compassionate very often. In fact, he'll regularly think about his sister, and his heart will break whenever she is hurting. But on the flip side of that, man, this little boy can just straight lose it at the drop of a hat. In fact, there are times that when he doesn't get his way, he'll say something like this. He'll be like, "This is the worst day ever." And many times he'll say that because he thinks that life just isn't fair. Whenever his sister gets to have a sleepover, he will say, "That's not fair." If he doesn't get more candy, if he doesn't get to watch more TV, if he doesn't get to have more time on his Kindle, these things just make him say that life is not fair. Can you relate? Have you ever thought that life is just not fair? Have you ever been treated unfairly? Today we pick up where we left off last week, and we're going to be looking at how someone was treated unfairly. In our last episode, Nate, he discussed the betrayal of Jesus. And in that historical account, Jesus had just been delivered over to a man named Annas. And now Annas was a Jewish high priest from around the time of 6 AD to 15 AD. But at the present time in the story, Annas' son-in-law, his name was Caiaphas, he was the high priest at that time. But we'll get to him, get to Caiaphas just a little bit later. So Jesus, he's put on trial, and he is first brought to Annas, and Annas begins to question Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. Now, I would encourage you, if you have some time, just to read all about this. You can find it in the Bible, specifically in the book of John in chapter 18. Now, the fact that Annas would question Jesus, it really is a scandalous thing, because according to Jewish law, you cannot ask a Jewish person to incriminate themselves. Kind of like the Fifth Amendment that we have here in the United States. And so knowing this law, Jesus answers Annas, and he tells him that he taught openly to people, and he was keeping nothing secret, and that Annas should just ask the people that he was teaching, bring in some eyewitness accounts. You see, this is how a trial was supposed to be. But this trial was anything but fair. In fact, after Jesus gave Annas this response, an officer that was standing by, he actually would strike Jesus. And he would ask Jesus, "Is that how you answer the high priest?" From there, Jesus, he's bound. And Annas sends Jesus off to his son-in-law, Caiaphas, who again is the current high priest at this time. Now, once Jesus gets to Caiaphas, Caiaphas brings two false witnesses against Jesus. And Caiaphas asks Jesus if he is the Christ. And here's what Jesus says. He says, "You have said so. But I tell you, from now on, you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of heaven." And then Caiaphas claims that Jesus is speaking blasphemy, or he's speaking sacrilegiously about God. And he says that Jesus deserves to die. So they spit on him, they strike him, and they slap him. You see, this trial was anything but fair. After this, they delivered Jesus to a man named Pontius Pilate. Now, Pilate, he's a Roman governor, and he had jurisdiction here. You see, the Roman government had control over the Jewish people, and so they made them pay taxes to Caesar. But in regard to most of their religious affairs, the Romans permitted the Jewish leaders to just kind of work it out amongst themselves. However, the Jewish people, they were not permitted to carry out capital punishment. So they needed the Romans to carry out their dirty work. And so this is why Jesus is delivered over and sent on to Pilate. Now, once again, in a sham of a trial, as this continued, Jesus is questioned. Here, Pilate asked Jesus if he is the king of the Jews. Jesus tells Pilate that his kingdom is not of this world, but that everyone who is of the truth listens to his voice. Pilate, he finds no fault with Jesus, and he tries to wash his hands of any responsibility. Pilate even tries to give the Jewish people a way out to release the prisoner who was to be executed. The Jewish people, they called for Jesus to be crucified. They called for him to be killed. You see, again, Jesus was never treated with fairness. Time and time again, he was treated unfairly. And as you think about this story, I want to point out a couple of things, just point out a couple of observations for you. First, think about how Jesus responded each and every time that he was treated unfairly. He didn't respond with rage. He didn't respond with hate. He didn't sound like my son, just saying that everything was so unfair about life. What did he do? He reacted with humility, and he spoke the truth. I don't know about you, but man, I struggle with this. I want to point out how unfair my life is all the time. How might you be able to respond like Jesus the next time that you are treated or judged unfairly? And then secondly, it's important to point out that Jesus knew what was ahead of him. He knew what was coming. All throughout the New Testament of the Bible, we read about how Jesus knew what he was appointed to do and how he was appointed to die. Even though he lived a perfect life and committed no wrongs against others. Even though he was treated unfairly around every corner in his life on earth, Jesus did not let this idea of fairness distract him from living out his mission on earth. If anyone had a right to complain about being treated unfairly, it was Jesus. But he didn't do it. He didn't do it. Each of us, you and me, we all deserve death because of the things that we do and say. So if fairness were actually the measuring stick for our lives, man, we would all be in so much trouble. But thankfully, God doesn't work like that. He gives us grace. And he did that in abundance through Jesus. Jesus was treated unfairly in order that you might be granted mercy. Jesus was treated unfairly so that you could be given grace. If you've not experienced the grace that I'm talking about, we would love to tell you all about that. Please reach out to us. Text us at 812-432-2234, and we would just love to introduce you to Jesus. If you feel like my son and you just feel like that you're having some of the worst days of your life, then we want to come alongside of you. We want to walk through you in your circumstance. We want to walk alongside of you in your circumstance. But thanks again for tuning in. I want to invite you back next week to the next episode as we continue this conversation and as we look at the last days of Jesus' life on earth. Please be sure to hit the like button and or share this episode with others if you found this helpful or if you were blessed by it. Have a great week, and we'll see you again next time.
Thanks again for watching Graceland Online. We hope that God spoke to you today through this video. And again, feel free to text us if you have questions about what you heard or if there's a way that we might be able to help you. And you can also find more videos and resources at gracelandchurch.online. Thanks again for watching, and we hope that you'll join us again soon.